everybody, I'm Quinn.
And I'm Scott. It's time for the Almost Friday show for September 13th, 2012.
And off the press this week, Becky's bringing the update of Wii U because
Yes.
Nintendo just dropped their new system.
They had an announcement today, and it was more informative, really, than every other Wii U announcement ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of weird.
And the important thing is it doesn't look like it's crap.
No, but maybe too little too late.
Yeah, it's possible.
More with Beccy and Sean on that. Then we're going Tech Insight, and obviously the iPhone announcement was this week.
Yes.
So, surprise, we're going to be talking about that.
True.
The latest and greatest from Apple.
And behind the lens this week, Sony and Nikon both announced new cameras. Sony went a little crazy and announced like a billion things. So we'll tell you what's cool, what's weird, and what to look forward to. Without further ado, it's time for Off the Press.
Hey guys, and welcome to Off the Press. So, mark your calendars. November 18th, the Wii U drops. Alright, so if you watched any of the keynote stuff from E3, which just Sam and I did because no one else cared.
And I'm not Sam.
Yeah, if you noticed. They talked a lot about the Wii U, and so they did an hour's worth press release this morning, which aired at 10 a.m. EST. Even if you tuned into that, I was going to watch it, and then I didn't. Basically, the rundown for this is if you want to get the bare bones kit for the Wii U, it's going to be $300.
Okay.
Which is reasonable, and then they have the deluxe version, which is $350 or $349.99 or whatever has you.
So what's the difference between the two so I can determine whether I may as well just go with the deluxe?
So the bare bones one is white, comes with, you know, your tablet controller and the basic cables that you're going to need, including like an HDMI cable and stuff like that. No controllers, though. Doesn't come with any like Wii remotes or stuff. Hopefully you have those from that Wii you already own. It's got to be Wii Motion Plus, though. Otherwise, no go.
Okay.
The deluxe edition has more memory, a bunch more cables, a charge stand dealie for your Wii tablet.
Okay.
Also, no controllers. But does come with Nintendo Land bulked right in there, which is the only game that is confirmed as a release title.
Oh, God.
Pretty cool. So things we do know about the Wii U are that the price points for that, the TVii, why'd they call it that?
Yeah,
That's
TV! Yes.
It's actually kind of cool, a little bit, maybe. If only because Nintendo has managed to sign on with like every major cable company. Basically, the way it works is that you have your own user profile, and you can sync it to Netflix, Hulu, most major cable stations if they have like syncing on the internet with their shows that they do, and then also can pull directly from your DVR.
Oh, I was going to just say, so is this acting as a DVR, or is it just a go-between?
No, it's just a go-between. It basically pulls from... It basically puts everything together in a little media center for you, and then you can watch it on the tablet controller if someone else is watching TV on the actual television or whatever you want, and it remembers your preferences, and there's like a like this thing, recommend it to a friend.
And I kind of actually like that idea, because I don't know how many times, like, you know, you're sitting there and you have an older brother, like I do, and he decides he wants to watch something that you hate, and you want to watch it, but the only TV that can actually get that channel that you want to watch is in use.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do? This is actually kind of neat. I like the idea for it.
And it's kind of a cute idea for like a family kind of way, right? Like, you know, the kids can watch their cartoons on the big TV, or the adults can watch the news or whatever, and you can have your kid watching whatever family-friendly thing they want to watch on their little pad or whatever. I'm sure there's applications for it.
Do you know if you're able to use like multiple tablet controllers?
I'm not sure about that yet, because we don't even know how much it costs if you want to buy the controller in and of itself. You're supplied one with the console, but we don't have a price point for anyone individually, and we don't know how it works really yet if you want to have multiple ones at once. The other new stuff we have is they have about 50 launch titles. They have about 50 titles that are going to be available.
Okay.
But we don't have a straight up list of launch titles yet.
So
we don't know what's going to be available when, really.
Well, I think it's kind of safe to say,
just that a bunch of things are coming.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of safe to say launch title is probably going to be some sort of Wii Resort sort of thing. I guess the Wii Land thing.
Wii Fitness, whatever, Mach 2.
Mach 2, more like Mach 3 or 4.
Mach 6.
Probably another Zelda. Another Mario rehash.
Pikmin.
Actually, you know what? I like Pikmin.
Yeah.
Pikmin was
Pikmin
possibly
looks
my
cute.
favorite.
They could do Pikmin.
Yeah.
And
Actually, that'd be really good on the tablet because then it's a little bit more micromanagey.
yeah,
So you'd be like, yes, I see you're doing that. Now this one over here.
yeah, and they secured an exclusive for Bayonetta 2. I guess they're gonna have that all on their own. So, which you know, because that's what your grandma wants to play.
I was gonna
And your
say.
new family-friendly console is the sexy, sexy game that is Bayonetta. Woo!
Hmm.
Overall,
Well.
with the price points and stuff like that, like it seems good, but now it just seems like it's on par with the consoles that we have now, and
Yeah.
that it might get left in the dust again too soon.
I have to actually kind of hand it to Nintendo right now. I really enjoy my 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, and I kind of want to see them do well in the console market on the when you're on the big screen and actually be able to pump out HD properly and play some more mature games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, pick a controller. Like, don't make motion controls and then be like, everyone else is in that boat now. Screw that boat.
Do the tablet.
I'm gonna do this thing. It's completely off the wall, like crazy.
Yeah. Well,
But-
now that they have a launch title, like they're going to be handing out consoles to people to play test, and so we'll
Yeah.
have more opinions than just their word for it as to whether or not it's
We
cool.
think it's great. Of course,
Of course we did. We made it. But, I was never a fan of the Wii from the get-go, so it'll take a lot to impress me with this console, to be honest.
You know what
But-
though? You know what I think we're gonna enjoy about this one?
What?
If I have to type something into it, I'll probably be a lot better off. Scott's got a great story. You should ask him about me using a Wii is not fun. If we
No,
had it
you
on video, it
can't
would be-
type anything, but at least if you could do it with your
Exactly.
thumbs in your lap. that
Or
would be
even,
useful.
you know what? A thumbstick and an A button and a B button for backspace. That's all you need. Oh, start button even.
It's true. So, I mean,
4 buttons.
now that we've covered that, you've got some Steam stuff that you'd like to talk about on, like, the other spectrum.
Yeah, so going from consoles to, admittedly, what seems to feel like wannabe consoles. So Valve is actually releasing Steam's Big Picture, which is everyone was kind of confused as to what it really was, other than a very pretty UI, mixing segments. So basically, the idea is you take your PC, whether it be an HD PC or a laptop, or your high-end gaming machine that is concrete or made of concrete and cooled with a car radiator. Somehow you're gonna move that over to your big screen TV and install Steam on it. And instead of using the normal graphical interface,
Yeah.
where it's really hard to actually read and navigate on a computer, on a TV, especially when you're 10 feet back or 8 feet back. And
Yeah. It doesn't expand out well.
yeah, it really doesn't look all that great, and it's rather hard to navigate. They've basically said, all right, we're going to take it so you plug it into your TV, and then you hit this big picture button, bam, it becomes this huge, wonderful, beautiful interface. Very user-friendly. You can use a mouse and keyboard if you've got the luxury of a long-range wireless mouse and keyboard and something to mouse and keyboard on. If you're gaming from your couch, some people do, not a lot. That is with a PC. But then you can go through the store, go into the community, browse the web if you want, because Steam does have a built-in browser, even regularly when it first arrived. It has all of your list of games and all of that, and you can just select. You can use a controller, like an Xbox controller, and just done. Like, it's taking the almost like Xbox Media Center sort of, or even Windows Media Center sort of thing. We want to be able to take everything, simplify it, and have it so it's easily accessible, pretty to look at, and then you can just play your games. The only thing is, though, why?
Yeah.
Like, Scott was actually making a really great point about this, is not many people are going to do this.
So they basically went and built a really pretty thing, and they were like, here, have this. And you're like, this is awesome!
But
What do you want me to do with it?
yeah, because there's not many laptops out there that can game very well that you would have rooted to a TV. I mean, if you have like the Acer, bomber, stealth bomber that I call it,
Yeah.
you could, that'd be fine. You'd probably set the wall on fire or the stand on fire
But
because
is there
of the exhaust.
any sort of tiny niche market that we would really need to use that for?
Not
Really?
necessarily.
That's a bummer.
It is a bummer because I've hauled my PC down to one floor and hooked up to the TV once. That thing
I'm
was
sure
a ton.
everyone's tried
Yeah,
it.
everybody's tried it, and it always looked like crap. So everyone said, "Screw this."
Yeah.
But yeah, they're basically trying to get the PC gamer out of their office or out of their desk and into the living room.
But they like it there. It's all set up, and they've got like 3 fans in their little cupboard with like some snacks in it.
Exactly,
And, stuff. Like,
and so it's pretty. It's amazing. It's actually like looking at it, and I didn't have the chance to fool around with it.
yeah,
But I'm gonna be giving it a shot. But from all the reviews I've been reading of the people in the beta,
yeah,
it's actually quite amazing. It's just who's gonna do this? You're pandering to, unfortunately, a very small demographic
yeah.
of the hardcore PC gamer who sits there and says, "I don't have an Xbox, I don't have a PC or a PS3 because I don't want to be locked in." Now, here's the thing.
All right.
There is, of course, rumor going around, as there always is when something like this happens. Maybe Valve, who has been asking for hardware developers now, they've been looking to do a whole bunch of other innovations. They're pushing the envelope with what PC gaming is and specifically distribution thereof. And they're kind of setting the standard. Are they going to make their own console is the question. But Scott, once again, making a very practical point, what are you going to run it on? The hardware is one thing, but software is another.
Yeah.
If it's just Valve games, that limits you to, well, Half-Life 2, the episodes thereof, Portal, Team Fortress 2,
Yeah.
a couple of others. Not a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
So I guess the
yeah.
bottom line is that, they made a pretty thing. We don't know if it's going to be good, but I mean, claps for making something
Exactly.
that gorgeous. Maybe someone, as far as I know, Steam and Valve in general is it's a community driven thing. So maybe
Yep.
someone will find something useful and cool to do with it.
I really hope so.
Or if not, it's just going to sit there and be pretty. And thank you for developing it, because at least it's nice to look at.
Pretty much. I
Yeah.
just hope it doesn't just collect dust.
So that was our 2 really big things for this week. So we're going to
Yeah.
run through the rest of them really fast. Rebecca Sugar is probably not a household name, but for those of you at home, she is a writer and storyboard artist for Adventure Time, which Sean and I are both huge fans of. Love that show. She
I haven't
has,
finished it, but
she's written all of my favorite episodes, as well as every song that is in there. She introduced the idea of having songs.
So she wrote the Billy song? Oh, I love this even more now.
It's pretty good, yeah. Also, when they did the gender swap episode, she sung the
Oh,
opening.
did she?
Yeah, the
Oh.
ukulele, that's all her. So she's my hero, basically, in terms of television animation and what it's doing right now. And she's got her own show! They gave her own show on Cartoon Network, guys. It's exciting. It's called Steven's Universe, and it's kind of a coming-of-age teen story about a guy named Steven who is the youngest member in a group called Guardians of the Universe.
Oh boy.
So it sounds magical and hilarious, and I'm really excited for it to happen. There's a Variety article about it that also covers how much, as a generation, in terms of cartoons, we're leaning more towards wackier stuff. Things that are a little bit, they're more random, but they're kind of,
I don't think...
flinging back from that to things that have, getting back to story and a little more sincerity of heart, in addition to the, let's make faces and then go on a tangent and then come back.
I was going to say,
logic.
Adventure Time isn't really just wacky.
It started out wacky.
It started off quite wacky, but then it got kind of really good story driven, and it still maintains that original wackiness, but in a very charming way that doesn't get tiring.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it also makes you wonder if you're not dreaming or have ingested illicit, material at some point because someone spiked your drink or something.
Yeah. So congratulations to Rebecca Sugar.
I really hope I give you the best of luck because I want to see this.
First lady to have her own show in the last. Oh, it's exciting! It's exciting.
That's actually really big news.
Yeah, it's really big news. So on the other side of the spectrum, apparently Why the Last Man, which has been kind of sort of in pre-production for the last decade, has been confirmed as moving from pre-production into actual production. Now they have a script that I guess they're happy with or something, and they're going to make it one movie. They'd originally tried to slate it for a trilogy, but that got shot down, and the director walked away from it. He was like, no, if I can't have 3 movies, I'm not going to do it. But
See, that sounds like somebody who actually, because the way you're describing it to me, Sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Yes,
Sounded
absolutely.
like a very smart man.
But then they wrote it. Now they're going to make it one movie, and I don't think it's going to do very well because the arc of this story takes place over the course of 4 years. Every arc that happens within it is extremely important, and it would make a much better television show. In fact, it would make a really good television show. But they're going to make it a movie, and it's going to make me sad.
I'm hoping it doesn't just turn into like I Am Legend or the Omega Man. Because judging from the description, it could very well turn into that.
I don't know. They have some good writers on it and stuff like that. We'll see what happens, but I don't have a ton of faith in it. So
Yeah.
you have one more thing that you're excited about that also drops tomorrow, which is...
Black Mesa Source, or Black Mesa now, really is all it's called. For those of you who are not in the know, which is probably a lot of you, especially if you're PC gamers and you love Valve as much as I do, send me free stuff. Basically, the community. I'll go to the backstory. Valve released Half-Life 2
Yep.
and the Source engine, which revolutionized their whole gaming thing.
Yep.
And then they said, well, Half-Life was such a great game, why don't we re-release it in Source? People were very disappointed because they were expecting updated models, they were expecting updated physics, and, just general, all-rounded
Betterness.
better.
And they didn't get any of that.
No, all they got was updated physics and lighting.
So that's going to be in this?
That is just a small part of what this is.
Oh, that's cool.
This is a community-made, ground-up recreation of Half-Life. So you don't just have a steel corridor that's, a block. Now it is, actually organic. It feels like if you touched it. They're using the full extent of the Source engine. They've made their own models, hired their own voice actors, the whole bit.
And how much does it cost?
Free. It is a community mod, so they actually technically can't charge for it. And it's just running Source. So if you already have Half-Life 2, download the sucker tomorrow as of time of recording. So that Friday, the 14th. Do it. Because everything that I've seen, amazing. They've actually outdone themselves, I think. The community has really come together, and whoever, just the team has done a great job. It took 7 years, but it's Valve time-ish. Community Valve time.
And I mean, that's the power of gamers who are given the resources to do things that they want, and they come together and make a thing, and
Given
that
the
thing is
resources,
good.
free of freaking charge. Why is no one else thinking of that?
and as much time as you need, because you're not getting paid to do this.
Exactly.
And so for our mandatorily trailer of the week, if you want to check it out, Wreck-It Ralph, the second trailer is out, and it's given me a lot of hope. I think that it's not going to be just pandering to our childhoods. There's going to be a plot, it's going to be funny, and I'm excited.
So am I.
Releases for this week as Resident Evil Retribution is out in theaters. It looks awful, but awesome, awfully awesome. We'll find out. And then Finding Nemo is being re-released in 3D, if that is the sort of thing you care about.
Why are you hurting my childhood? And that's not really my childhood, but why are you hurting the movies I love?
Thanks for the money grab, Disney. We appreciate it. Snow White and the Huntsman is out on DVD, and then Vampire Diaries Season 3, if you want to pick out some television, I guess. I haven't watched a single episode of that show, but I don't know. I guess
Never even heard of it.
that's fun. And that's it for Off the Press.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tech Insight, and in case you were hiding under a rock this week, Apple announced the iPhone 5. And I want to start by pointing out that all the professional bloggers were going on and on for months about how it was never going to be the iPhone 5, it was never going to get called number 5 because they had already made 5 phones, and seemed to miss the fact that iPhone counts a certain way, irregardless of the actual number of devices they have made.
Yes.
So it was like, it'll never be the iPhone 5, and all you guys are idiots for calling it that. And then it was the iPhone 5.
Even
So-
after that invitation came out with the clear Shadow 5.
Yeah.
Good point. I didn't really think of that, but yeah.
I was chuckled because I'm like, oh, you guys were so intent that you were so good at your jobs that it was never going to be the iPhone 5.
I'm really happy it wasn't the new iPhone.
Yes, I think that wouldn't have worked though. No. Because
they're selling 3 of them, right? So that could
yeah. Well, I mean, they sell 2 iPads concurrently.
Yeah, and it's confusing.
Right. So anyway, the new iPhone, the iPhone 5, is. The best way to put it is boring but logical.
Yeah. We were talking about this before the show, how if you were expecting to be blown away by this announcement, that's just unrealistic. 'Cause first of all, the amount of leaks and stuff that have come out from 100 different sources and things like that, I mean, they pretty much nailed everything.
Yeah. I mean, it really was a sense of basically knowing what we were going to get basically before we got it.
Yeah.
And there was very little left to secrecy. With the exception of a couple of specs about, like now that it does dual band Wi-Fi and things like that.
Yeah.
But, the thing about phones is that people keep wanting to be wowed, but really no cell phone company out there is making drastic changes.
No.
I mean, every week we have new Android phones, but they're all really just upgrades of what last week's Android phone was. And then, Nokia is going to come out and do the Lumia 920. And yeah, there's a really cool ton of awesome features, but none of that is revolutionary.
No.
And that's kind of the point where we're at with cell phones, is that everyone knows what to expect from a cell phone, and to do things that aren't that way, or to step outside of the box, is probably worse for your company than better.
Also, they've had a lot of tries at new features that didn't take huge, like things like Siri and voice recognition.
Yeah.
Which was a big, huge new feature that no one's writing home about now.
Yeah.
It's still developing things like that, but
And they're still talking about Siri and
Absolutely.
trying to tell everyone that Siri is better and give it a second chance. But these are features that are interesting to have, but don't sell your phone, because what sells your phone is a screen size people want, a cellular connection speed people want, and access to their content the way they want
Absolutely.
their content. And Apple's been following suit with that. So I mean, with the new iPhone 5, we're seeing a brand new A6 processor,
which is not quad core as some has assumed.
Yeah,
but
it's
claimed to be twice as fast
as the
what?
A5.
Because that got a little bit confusing, because the iPhone 4S has the A5X.
I think it was in relation to the A5X.
Which makes more... Yeah.
Because they usually talk about the previous
latest,
iteration.
yes.
So it's claimed 2 times faster performance and 2 times faster graphics rendering. And they did have a demo with EA and the guys who make Real Racing. Now, in fairness, Real Racing has always been one of the best looking games on the platform. But they've taken it even further, because now it is approaching console quality graphics.
It looks excellent.
We're seeing car reflections and world reflections in the cars. A feature that they had in the game that I really liked was the idea that someone could challenge you to a race, and then you could later on race that race, but interact with that person and cause their times to go down by, bumping into them or changing the way the other cars drive. And I don't understand how the math works behind that, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think, like we talked about the fact that I'm surprised it wasn't on a console yet, but it really does make a lot more sense in a mobile environment.
Yeah,
Because you can't guarantee that you and your buddy with your phones are going to be able to play at the same time.
But, if you're on the bus, you're in a line, you've got 2 minutes to, do a quick race.
Damn it, Dave beat me with my time. I'm going to challenge him. Cool. But it's not just racing a ghost car, which is neat.
And it also builds back and forth. You could easily see that becoming, oh, you beat me, well, I got to beat you again.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
But all this is predicated around the idea that the new A6 processor really is delivering enhanced performances, allowing these things to perform at this kind of level. And I mean, we've seen really great performing chips in Android and Windows Phone or phones, but Apple always does a really good job of actually showcasing just how awesome things can be.
Yeah.
Because Android goes, here's our new Tegra quad-core processor, but then they don't really show you what that means in terms of what it could be achieved.
Yeah, and basically the consensus now is that the A6 is, although specs have not been released, we're fairly certain, according to rumors and things like that, the A6 will outperform that S4 that's in the Galaxy S3 and the Nokia. However, it's not going to be a huge difference, but it does take top spot.
Yeah. Apple's also taken a page out of Nokia's book and changed their display, so now the display no longer has space between the touchscreen and the pixels themselves. The pixels are doing double duty, but it has the added advantage of increasing the color space of the phone to have a wider color gamut, meaning even better looking pictures and movies and all that kind of stuff, which I think is cool.
Yeah. And that screen, like was predicted, same width as on the 4S, but it is taller now with a 4-inch diagonal.
Yeah, so now we're looking at a 16:9 aspect ratio screen, which...
Almost.
Yeah, pretty close. Which makes a lot more sense for people who are consuming media and recording videos and taking pictures, because you're using a lot more of that screen real estate. But Apple's been clever in the way they've designed it so that when you are using apps that haven't been designed for that, you just get really deep black bars that almost become invisible, and you just kind of end up using the middle of the screen more like it.
definitely the smartest way to go. I think, yeah, for sure.
What I think is interesting about the idea of increasing the screen size up instead of proportionally is that the iPhone is a very comfortable size to hold with one hand. And so now when you are typing, instead of having to hold a bigger phone, you're just seeing more information above where your keyboard was.
Which I had never really thought of until you mentioned it. It actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of times where I'm writing an email
and
or
you only get
something
to see 3 or 4 lines of what you've written, and it can be hard to write something large without being like, okay, close it, read it, that kind of thing. So now you're going to see more of that content, which is really great, especially if you are a power user and do a lot of emailing and that kind of stuff on your phone.
The big thing, it is an LTE phone.
Yes.
However, it goes and trumps all the other LTE phones because it's a combined antenna.
Yes.
So it's one chip, and it does all bands of LTE available in the world right now.
Yeah.
Which is something no other phone can claim in a single phone.
This was 5 or 7 bands of LTE.
Well, it's more
like
than that. I think it's like 9 or 10.
Okay.
It's bizarre. I don't really fully know the LTE band, so don't quote me on that. But it is anything that's available in LTE, basically the iPhone 5 will do.
Now, it's interesting to note that although they are using a single chip and claiming worldwide use, there are variations of the phone that have a variation of that chip. So you won't be able to buy one phone and use it on literally every carrier, but there's a good chance that wherever you buy your phone will probably work on most of the carriers in that area.
It also has the high-speed HSDPA, the DC HSDPA format, the regular HSDPA format, GSM. It still has a CDMA, which is ridiculous. This is the only modern smartphone.
Now, I was doing some reading, and apparently CDMA is the network technology they're using LTE on in Europe.
Yes,
is what I had heard.
And some of the carriers and Verizon.
So I had heard that they had left CDMA in there because if you did want to travel with your phone to Europe, you would still get LTE on like 1 or 2 networks.
And at one point, everything in Japan was still CDMA.
Yeah.
So I don't really know where that's at, but it's still a relevant standard. And the cool thing is, it's single antenna, so it's a smart antenna.
Yeah.
So you don't get any of that weird iPhone 4 death grip thing going on.
Yeah.
And you get all these bands. So it's the best 4G LTE capable phone around in terms of how many bands any given model will support. And there's less different models than of other phones.
They've also updated the Wi-Fi in the phone. It's now capable of doing dual band wireless N at 5 gigahertz.
Yeah.
So it's claiming speeds of 150 megabits per second, which is definitely going to make your cloud usage when you're at home much quicker.
Absolutely. New camera.
Kind of. They've done,
newish. Yes.
Yeah, it's the same sensor, it's the same lens, that kind of stuff, but they've made it in a smaller package because it's important to note that we didn't mention this yet, but the phone is thinner than the iPhone 4 and is currently being touted as the smallest LTE smartphone in the world.
Which is true.
So they basically said, you've made a really great camera manufacturers. We need you to now do that in a smaller package. But they're also claiming that it has a new hybrid IR filter as well as some new processing technology in relation to the A6. So although it's mostly on paper the same camera, they are claiming better picture quality from it.
And the pictures look pretty good. I mean, I saw some kind of 4S5 comparisons.
Yeah.
The colors are a little bit nicer,
I've come to the
but
conclusion that based on Apple always showing their sample pictures, the entire world is ugly except San Francisco. And then when you're in San Francisco, every photo you take with your smartphone is instantly a beautiful picture.
Yes.
So included in that camera, they've also now added a panorama mode. So this is kind of them doing that thing where they find the popular apps in the App Store and go, how can we just make this part of our phone?
Yes.
But from what I've heard through some of the people that have picked up the GM of iOS 6, because the panorama mode is also available for iPhone 4S users, that it works incredibly well. So you can take a picture, you pan the camera, even if you move up and down, it's going to stitch all the images together, creating up to 240-degree field of view, which is pretty good. And it's pretty awesome that's included, because I know that I have a panoramic app that I almost never think of because it's an app I have to go find.
Yeah, absolutely. So, good things. I think the front-facing camera is now 720p FaceTime.
Yes.
And FaceTime's going to be enabled over cellular if your carrier supports it.
Yeah, so we'll see how many people follow through on that one.
Yes.
They've also added 3 noise-canceling microphones to help not only improve the quality of the calls, but to actually reduce the noise of what you make so you don't even hear yourself over the calls, which is pretty neat. And they've also gone to this new high-bandwidth cellular transmission, which, if your carrier supports it, will allow you to have even better call fidelity by using a larger band of audio frequencies in a phone call.
Yeah.
unsure of how many people are going to really get to take advantage of that.
That's the thing is, I highly doubt it's very widely implemented by carriers because that's going to mean more bandwidth for every single phone call.
Yeah.
But if you have it, maybe you'll notice.
And I mean, this is also going to show that really what Apple has done is taken the 4S and bumped up every aspect of the phone.
Yeah.
And that's really what we expect now. Because phones aren't going to they're not going to become triangular overnight.
No. Yeah.
So Apple just needs to make a phone that is class leading or at least class equivalent to what everything else on the market is now, and that's going to make all their investment shareholders happy, and that's really what a company needs to do.
Absolutely. And on that topic, they did manage to make the thinnest phone on the market.
Yes.
It just beats the Galaxy S3 by I think 2 or 3 millimeters. It's also the lightest phone on the market, which surprised me because the Galaxy S3 is made of plastic.
Yeah.
All of it. There's no glass
like
on the
100,
screen.
112 grams or something like that.
And the Galaxy S3 is something like 130.
Now, they were also talking about in manufacturing that it's one of the highest manufactured phones in terms of reproducible accuracy. Something they measured differences down to microns now. And they have a new system in their warehouses that actually look at a selection of back pieces and a selection of the top parts of the back pieces and match up the ones that have the similar variances so that they can really match things, which I think is pretty cool. And it does go to show that, although it's a smaller, lighter phone, you aren't sacrificing build quality to get there.
Well, I think that's what kind of differentiates this because I guess we can talk about the price now. It's going to be the same as previous.
Yes, which isn't outrageous, but it is more expensive than some of the competitive phones
so if you look
that
at,
are power equivalent.
Like the Galaxy S3 is going to be the Android equivalent, I suppose. Again, the iPhone will be a little better in some areas, and the Galaxy S3 a little bit better in others. Same with the Lumia that we talked about. That's the Windows Phone equivalent. Those two are probably the Galaxy S3 is for sure $100 on contract.
Yes.
And the Lumia will probably be in and around there if the last generation was any. This is $200.
Yeah.
But I think that manufacturing and quality is where that $100 gets made up.
Yeah.
Because
now, when you say $99 for the Galaxy S3, is that Canadian $99 or US $99? Okay, because keep in mind that we'll probably be
$179.
Oh, $179?
Came out today for Canadian carriers.
So we are a little bit cheaper because of that extra third year of contract signing.
Yeah, so it's $99 for the Galaxy S3 here on Rogers and everybody else. So, it is a little bit more, but you're getting all metal construction, aluminum construction. You're getting, a little bit more attention to the manufacturing process and attention to detail like this, better audio, better microphones for noise canceling, little things like that you're not necessarily
sapphire crystal glass on the camera screen to prevent scratching.
Little things like that you don't necessarily get in a Rev and a Galaxy phone.
Yeah.
So that, makes the difference.
And the big change that we were all expecting and a lot of us are dreading is the change of the dock connector.
Yes.
It is now the Lightning dock connector to play off of Thunderbolt, their other very fancy connector.
So I'd like to point out is completely useless in naming this connector.
Yes.
Because it will only connect to iDevices.
Yes.
Portable iDevices. It doesn't need a name. But they named it anyway, even though Thunderbolts belongs to Intel.
Well, because they couldn't call it dock connector again, because then they'd have to give it some
I guess,
name to put a package
I guess
on
after
the shelf.
30-pin dock connector, 8-pin dock, it's not even really pins. Okay.
Some upsides to it, though, is it's an all-digital connection, which means that the 8 pins can be redesignated based on what the output is requiring. Yeah. And it's also reversible, so those drunk nights when you come home and you're trying to smash your dock connector into your phone, it won't matter what way you put it in.
Yeah. Now, the downside here... if you still have 30-pin accessories, they have produced an adapter.
Yes.
However, unlike the predicted $10 price point, it will be $35
here in Canada, $30 in the States.
Yeah. Or if you want a cable that's 0.2 meters long.
Because honestly, if you're plugging into an audio dock, there's a fairly good chance that you can't use this adapter and plug your thing because there's something in the way.
Or it'll topple over or something.
Yes.
That's $40 Canadian each.
Yeah.
So if you want one for your car, one for your bedroom, that adds up real quick.
It does.
And the downside is it doesn't fully support everything.
It's true.
So if you had any kind of video out, will not work.
Which I use all the time. I plug both my iPhone and my iPad into my television upstairs with my HDMI connector every night, as I have literally no other device that gets plugged into my television.
So that's a bummer. And I believe it says iPod out. Now I don't know if that's the analog audio.
I think that might be in relation to things like home theater receivers that have iPod docks to control and that kind of thing, perhaps.
Because it's not in, which would be a control.
Yeah.
Because before there used to be 2 pins on that 30 pin that always gave the analog audio out.
Okay.
And you could just take that and do what you will with it. So that's why some of those docks have like a headphone port in the back to plug into speakers or whatever.
Yeah.
I hope it's not that. But if it's all digital, you can't get analog audio out of an all digital connector without some kind of chip or something on the base end.
Yeah.
So it might very well be.
But in making the dock connector smaller, it did allow for other things in the phone to be improved, such as larger speakers at the bottom that now use 5 coils as opposed to 2. So the audio quality in terms of actually playing sound from the phone is supposed to be much better. So, the thing is that the dock connector has been around since 2003. It's had nearly a decade of use, and it is unrealistic to believe that a company can predict 10 years from now what they need a connector to do.
Yeah.
And so things have to change.
Yeah. I mean, they had to do it sooner or later.
And the fact that they made it last a decade is both admirable and upsetting only because of how many accessories have been able to be made in 10 years.
So, get over it. Don't buy those adapters to charge. Just buy a cable because they're $20.
Yes.
But wait, I guarantee you there will be 150 third-party adapters by the end of the year.
Very soon. Yes.
Look for Deal Extreme for $2 probably, hopefully. But yeah, I think it makes sense because now they can make it nice and thin. That dock connector. Because if you look at the iPad 3, that's about as thin as you can get with that connector.
Yes.
Realistically, so I think it needed to happen.
Or if you look at an iPod Touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It needed to happen. It did. Let's just move on. However, I am sad that it wasn't micro USB. Because that just would have made so much sense.
Yeah. Would there be a limitation with micro USB to what kind of devices what devices could access from the phone?
I think it would just have to access it differently.
Okay.
You might not get as direct access. I don't know. I think it would really depend on how they do it within the phone. Because you can still plug your Android phones into your car and control the Android phone in your car with car decks. Not necessarily built in whatever, but third-party decks have that all the time. So it's possible. Alas, if you live in Europe because of the EU, they do make a $25 or €9 adapter to use.
Don't they
micro
have to
USB.
legally ship it with that?
They do ship it with it, but if
Okay.
you want to buy one,
Ah.
yes.
So moving on, Apple also, did not forget about the music players out there because the iPod Touch is the most popular music player out, bar none. And so they have updated the new iPod Touch to use the same A5 processor that was in the A4. It now has a new 5-megapixel camera and has an HD screen using the same sort of tall height.
Same screen as the iPhone 5.
Yes.
Yeah, which is good. It looks like a really good spec bump for the iPod Touch.
Yes.
I like kind of that they didn't put the A6 in there because I think that's going to give you better battery life.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't know that you're going to see that big of a lack of gaming performance.
And they do have to have some sort of designation as to
absolutely.
why you'd want to spend more money on a phone versus a music player.
Yeah, I mean, it makes that iPhone 5 the premium mobile product. The thing I really like about this, super thin.
Yes.
It's coming in colors now.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that's been missing from the iPod Touch lineup to fit in with the rest of the iPod lineup.
Yeah.
Because now it feels more like an iPod, less like I want to be an iPhone.
Yeah. They really wanted to push the idea that people have been using these to take pictures, so they have upgraded the camera, included 720p front-facing camera. It does 1080p recording in the back. It has the panoramic mode. And what they've also done for the photographers out there is there's a little tiny button you can push on the back, and it pops out this little loop, and then you can hit strap on a little wrist strap for it for listening to music or taking your photos so that you don't drop it. I think that's pretty cool. I like it. I almost wish it was on the phone just because I think it's fun. Scott doesn't want it.
I would not want it.
But what is kind of cool about it is the iPod comes in 5 different colors, and when you buy it, you do get a color coordinated wrist strap, which is kind of fun.
Good
and
touch.
I'm assuming that you can probably buy them on your own if you want to be one of those people that has like a blue iPod Touch with a green strap, or
I imagine,
some white with pink or something like that.
And the last thing is the iPod Touch has a phenomenal battery in it.
Yes.
Because you will get 40 hours of music playback in that. Now, I mean, if you're doing other things, it's probably going to be less, but you cannot get 40 hours of music playback on an iPhone.
No.
So that's great. Looks like a good product. $299 for the 32 gig.
Yes, and $399 for the 64.
And they are keeping the previous gen around for the $199 16.
Yes, you can get a $199 16 or a $250 32.
Yeah.
With the previous generation. But really, if you're looking at the 32, just spend the extra $50 and get the new one.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's just better.
Yeah. And if it's your primary MP3 player, 32 probably makes more sense than 16 anyway.
Yeah.
Or if you're into games, because those games are getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the graphics gets nicer and nicer.
Now, the last thing they announced an update for was the iPod Nano. And sadly, iPod Nano watch users everywhere are crying because it is no longer a little square. It is now a rectangular, stick of gum, essentially.
Which I kind of like, because now it's differentiating itself from the Shuffle a little bit more.
Yes, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. There just was this really awesome market of people who literally used iPod Nanos as watches.
Yes.
And they won't be able to do that anymore. But what is cool about this is they now have a nice sort of horizontal screen that will give you more information than you were previously getting with the music. It's got very small buttons on the side that allow you to do your volume up and your play, pause, and all that kind of stuff. Super thin. Again, it was able to be made small because that lightning connector only takes up this much space on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And it's coming in a whole variety of colors, which is nice that there's a total of 7 colors available.
Yeah, it looks like a really good iPod. It's still got the Nike Plus stuff built in. It's got an FM tuner built in with pause functionality, so you can pause and then swipe through after it'll record a little bit of that, which is cool.
And they're making it in a single flavor of 16 gigabytes for $150.
Yeah, which is good price for MP3 players
for
still.
Sure. Oh, and they added Bluetooth, which I thought was neat.
Yes, so you can
because
actually
now you can use your headsets and stuff like that.
or Bluetooth to a stereo at home or to
your
car.
Yes, exactly.
Which I thought that was really clever actually, because that's a feature most MP3 players are going to lack.
Yeah.
And the newest Bluetooth protocol, the 4.0 protocol for audio, is actually quite good sounding.
Yeah.
It's not the days of the early A2DP stuff where it kind of sounded terrible.
Yeah, now that they're using Bluetooth 4, you really get great sound from
Yeah.
it. And just as sort of the icing on the cake, if you buy any of the colored versions, it ships with a matching color wallpaper of the same color. So you get
that's kind of neat.
Fun chiclet style effect to it.
Yeah, so those look good if you're a little tired of your watch type Nano.
We should mention the iPhone 5 will be available for pre-order Friday, so a couple days after we've put this up on the website, and it will be shipping on September 21st.
Yes.
And I believe the iPods are both out now.
I can't remember if it was now or October, because some stuff was October.
Yes.
I'm not 100% sure.
iTunes got updated to iTunes 11.
Which is not out till October.
Yes.
But if you want to update to iOS 6 on the 19th, which is when iOS 6 comes out, you have to update your current iTunes.
Yes, you can go to 10.7.
Yes.
And it will work. I'm excited for iTunes 11. I think there's some interesting UI changes to it. Scott thinks it's kind of so-so and doesn't really like the browsing.
I like the features they've added.
Yeah.
The way I'm going to use it is in list view.
Yes.
And list view looks very much the same. But what I do like is the mini player.
Yeah, the mini player has received a lot of updates. You can now search for your music in the mini player. They've added this great up next bar,
which I love,
that will show you everything that's in a playlist that you're listening to and allow you to click on a song you want to hear that's not part of that playlist, add it in without stopping the song you're listening to. It'll play that, then continue the rest of the list.
You can also, as you're browsing through your music, if you want to listen to this song next, you can queue it. Even if you're listening to a playlist.
Yes.
And you can reorganize the playlist. So if you've queued up 3 or 4 songs, you decided 2 songs from now you want to listen to this instead of that, you can shuffle that around, which is kind of cool because I do that a lot, but it takes a lot of effort to do.
Yeah.
This looks kind of seamless, and that mini player is going to be really good because I use the mini player a lot, but right now it's entirely useless.
They've changed the way the playlists are done. There's a lot of panel swiping going on. I think it's pretty slick looking. It's kind of cool how you can move stuff around in playlists, and they make it what they've done is they're really trying to maximize retail space of the screen when you're actually looking at just your music selection.
Yes.
So there's no sidebar anymore. That classic sidebar that we've had forever is now
really
gone.
Used. Yeah.
And the panels kind of slide out when necessary, which I think is kind of cool. And the playlist will now sync across your devices if you're part of that whole iCloud universe
Which is just something that should have been implemented so long ago.
It's true.
And ping is gone.
As of September 30th, I believe. Which is fine because no one cares.
Which is good because as soon as you download iTunes 11, ping won't even be in it because it doesn't come out until after then.
Yeah, I think they did it because they're like, where are we going to fit ping? And someone was like, really? And it's like, yeah, you're right, whatever.
Yeah, that's probably exactly
They're like, we just can't make ping
It was the director of ping. Yeah. So where's ping in iTunes 11? Really? Really, Bob? I don't think
Bob,
so.
we fired you 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. What are you
Oh.
still doing here? Yeah. So
But not Bob Mansfield, because
well,
he's senior vice president.
yes, one of many. So lots of good stuff from Apple. If you are an iPhone fanatic, this is definitely a good update to the 4S. That's the one thing is it is a 5, not a 4SS.
Yes.
If I had a 4,
Everything about the phone has changed to be better.
yeah,
As opposed to a few things have changed to be better that we took. Now there will be a 5S, I'm sure.
I assume, yeah.
And it will play the same card of being like, we've changed this and this and this to be current, and then the 6 will come out and it'll be everything has changed again.
But I think this
But
is
it'll always be a rectangular bar.
This is the first time we've seen such a tight competition in that high end.
Yeah.
Because I was looking through, the Lumia, the Galaxy S3, the iPhone 5, and there's one thing in the iPhone 5 that doesn't quite match up to something on the Lumia, and then there's one feature missing from the Lumia that the Galaxy S3 has, but it's not as good as other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really there's no clear winner. I think the iPhone 5 is getting there. But there's a lot of advantages to the other phones. So I think it's a good competition, but it's the iPhone, so it's still going to sell like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's a good phone. There's no reason why it shouldn't.
Yeah. And briefly, with our other non-Apple related news this week, Western Digital has created 5mm spinning hard drives. That's right, 5mm.
Yes. So if you were impressed with your 80mm thin iPod Touch,
Yes.
which is thinner than most laptop hard drives are now.
Yes.
This is ridiculous. This is like approaching credit card thin hard drives. And this is the only reason I put this in here is because this is going to put real pressure on SSDs.
Yeah. Because if they can keep the price point in something that is less expensive than SSDs, the Ultrabook market will change.
Yeah, because even if this is a slower drive,
Yeah.
a lot of regular consumers still want a 500 gig drive.
Yeah, I mean, Ultrabooks really have solid state drives because it's the only way they can be small enough to sell as an Ultrabook.
Yeah.
And they don't, I mean, yes, they put a solid state drive in because it's better performance, but it's not the main reason. It's because it's necessary to be small. So if they can make these drives for less money with bigger space, I can see this changing Ultrabook hard
Absolutely.
drives. There will still be Ultrabooks with SSDs for the
absolutely.
people who want them, but there will be a lot more Ultrabooks that don't cost as much because of a drive like this.
Yeah, and that that $150 could make an Ultrabook a lot more affordable.
Yeah.
They're also saying within a couple months they're going to release a 1 terabyte that is only 2 millimeters thicker, so 7 millimeters thick for a 1 terabyte drive.
Crazy
That is
stuff.
insane.
And lastly, we're talking about GoDaddy going down for, what was it, like a day or 2 days?
Quite a while, almost 2 days.
Yeah.
Anything that was hosted on GoDaddy.
Yes.
So if you use GoDaddy DNS, if you use GoDaddy for your actual site, forget about it.
Now, Anonymous stepped up and claimed that they had taken down GoDaddy, and GoDaddy said, no, we had problems.
Well, that was the interesting part, is when Anonymous said it, they said it kind of when it happened.
Yeah,
And GoDaddy said nothing,
yeah.
which is fine because they were probably working to fix it. Not that I'm a fan of GoDaddy, but give them the benefit of the doubt. And then today, they came out and said, "Oh, it wasn't an attack. There's no hacking."
Which I don't know how I feel about that, because on one hand, if you're a GoDaddy customer, I feel like I'd feel better about paying a company if the guys that take down everything all the time took down their site. Well, okay, that's kind of par for the course. But if it was just that all of your servers failed for 2 days, that's more concerning for me as a customer.
Well, that's the thing, is they didn't really detail whether it was a specific hardware failure, was it a software failure, was it their link to the internet, their ISP?
Yeah.
We don't really know. And they didn't say, but they did say it wasn't a denial of service attack, which is what Anonymous claimed used to take it down, and it wasn't hacking. So I kind of agree with you there,
Yeah.
that I would much rather have my site get taken down by someone who takes down the FBI sites,
Yes.
than go, oh, well, we don't really want to say what happened,
Because we had problems.
but everything's back. So maybe a good time to pull your sites from GoDaddy.
Yeah, so long story short is if you didn't have enough reasons to leave GoDaddy, here's one more.
Here's a big one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with that, it brings us to the end of Tech Insight for this week.
Hey everybody, welcome to Behind the Lens. It's Photokina next week.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of these companies like to announce piles of things before Photokina to kind of get ahead of the rush.
It's true.
And Sony has indeed announced a pile of things.
Yes. A pile is a good amount.
Yeah.
We're gonna start off with the one that I don't think anyone was really expecting, which is the new RX1. It is a full frame camera with a fixed lens. So
Yes.
it's a full frame compact camera.
Which seems, for Sony to announce, I definitely didn't see that coming from Sony.
Yeah. But it kind of doesn't surprise me either, because it's sort of taking what they learned about the NEX7 and then making it better. So the RX1 features a 24 megapixel full frame sensor. A lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about today has the same 24 megapixel full frame sensor in it. It's capable of shooting 1080 60p, which almost everything we talk about from Sony will do as well. But what's interesting about this is it's including a 35 millimeter Carl Zeiss f2 lens, which again, this is full frame, so it is actually 35 millimeters. This isn't 35 that looks like 50 like Fuji's
no crop
case.
factor
No
there.
crop factor, just straight 35 millimeter f2 lens. My problem is the price point.
Yes.
The estimated price of the camera is going to be $2,800. And for $2,800, you can get a 5D Mark III, which will do a lot more than this camera does. Or other things. Lots of other things.
That's the thing, is when we saw, Fuji with the fixed lens cameras and things like that, they were expensive and they were cheaper than this.
Yeah, I mean, the XE1 was like, we know that $1,600 was too much, so here's $1,000. And Sony's kind of like, screw that boat.
Let's go for more.
And I don't think it would bother me as much if it wasn't for the fact that they almost make fun of the fact that they're charging $2,800 by having ridiculously overpriced accessories.
Yes.
If you would like an electronic viewfinder, which you can get a very great one from Panasonic or Olympus for around $300, you have to pay $600. If you would like just a glass Carl Zeiss viewfinder, which just shows you in frame lines what 35 millimeters would look like, $400.
And
There are full autofocus lenses that cost less than the small piece of metal in a housing glass.
It should be noted there is no viewfinder.
It's
on the
true.
camera.
There is no viewfinder.
So realistically, if you'd like a viewfinder of any kind,
you're spending at least $400,
yeah,
which is a lot of money.
that brings you up to around $3,200.
If you would like the metal lens hood for this, which is very similar to the $10 pedal Leica lens hoods the Leica-like lens hoods you can buy on eBay, you will have to pay them $180.
Yeah.
For a lens hood. It was bad enough that Olympus wanted to charge $110 for the lens hood. That was already highway robbery. $180? What the hell?
Now, if you'd like a grip
Yeah.
camera,
And it's not even a smart grip. It's just a dummy metal grip
Yeah.
that gives you more to hold on to.
and not even don't picture battery grip with no. It's just kind of like a front grip to give it a little more size.
Yeah. That's going to cost you like $400.
Yeah.
No, sorry, $250 for the grip, which is still far too much, and then $250 for the leather case. So if you'd like to get all the accessories for this camera, because at $2,800, really, you're not going to be able to afford any other cameras.
All I have to say is thank God it has a pop-up flash.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you'd need a flash of some kind.
I feel like if you've got a 35 millimeter f2 Carl Zeiss lens on a full frame camera and you're using the pop-up flash, I'm just going to slap the camera out of your hands.
That's fair.
So, if you want to buy all those other accessories, it's going to cost you an extra $2,000 in accessories just to get everything, which is ridiculous. But it's an interesting camera, and it really surprised everyone, and I think it will sell. I don't know how well, though.
It's a tough sell at $2,800, but you can look at the Leica cameras. People buy those.
Yeah.
So
Now, if you like a full-frame camera, but you want something that you can change the lens on, and it does things like give you controls, the Sony SLT A99 is the new full-frame semi-translucent mirror technology thing that they've been using on all their new cameras.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've seen a full-frame camera that has not a traditional mirror in it. With the exception of mirrorless cameras, that doesn't really count. Mirrored cameras with a non-traditional mirror, well, it's really only going to be Sony.
It's only
no
Sony
one,
doing
no one
that,
else
really,
does this
yes.
technology. Anyway, same 24 megapixel sensor, same 1080 60p, but they've really they're aiming at the videographers here because they've included a microphone input as well as a headphone monitoring, and it has peaking during focus for video, and it's shooting that 1080 60p. It looks pretty cool. The thing is that you're going to spend $2,800 on this camera as well, but at least you can do more things with it. So, this pricing seems off. I don't really know how they can go, we're going to give you a camera with a fixed lens and charge you the same amount of money as our really high-performance full-frame camera that you can put other lenses on.
yes, it's
Now, granted, you don't get a Carl Zeiss lens with this camera for $2,800, but still. Like, if the Sony was like $2,000, I'd be like, good. That's a good. I can deal with that. That's only like $400 more than the X Pro One.
They're placing it as a premium camera,
They're
right?
they're trying to go after Leica M8 and M9 users.
They're like almost boutique cameras type thing.
The problem is Sony is not a boutique camera company.
No, they're not.
So I don't know that there's a market for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's interesting about this is they've put phase detection sensors on the sensor itself, which means that you're going to have, they claim, better autofocus speeds as well as better autofocus tracking, which we've heard about because a lot of these mirrorless cameras use contrast detect, which is great in low light but not great at fast action. And the phase detection is much better at fast action. So this is going to help improve autofocus and could also improve autofocus during video as well because obviously that mirror is up during video or however they're doing it. So you know what? It's just confusing, but it's likely to also improve autofocus during video. So that will be available soon if you've been waiting for a new full-frame camera from Sony. And they've also they've added another NEX because there isn't already
we needed one more.
1,100 of them.
Yes.
The NEX 6 is kind of like a little brother to the NEX 7. It doesn't have the 24 megapixel sensor that the NEX 7 does. It has a 16 megapixel sensor, but it does have the same great 2.3 million dot LCD OLED viewfinder on it. And it's got the extra buttons and everything like that. So this is kind of going at the enthusiast market for someone who didn't want to spend $1,100 or I don't even remember what the price is of the NEX 7. But this is less, and that's the important part. It's got the Wi-Fi built into it.
So it has that
picture
silly PlayStation
play
thing,
motion.
whatever it was
play
called.
memories. I don't
Something
remember
like
what it's called. So yeah, it's kind of a halfway point between the NEX 5N and an NEX 7.
Yes.
Hence why it's the NEX 6. Yeah. And they've decided that they're also going to announce some new lenses for the NEX system, which is good because they needed some new ones. They've added a 10 to 18 millimeter f4, which is a mid-range wide-angle lens. They've also added a 16 to 50 power zoom lens. So they've done that pancake thing that Panasonic does, where the lens zooms out and all that stuff. It's not overly bright at an f3 to 5.6, but it is cool to see them finally making something smaller than the 18 to 55, which really makes all their NEXs weird looking.
Huge, yeah.
And they've also added a 35 millimeter f1.8, which would be a 50 millimeter equivalent on the NEX series of cameras. My problem with that lens is $450.
It is a smidge high.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for a 50 millimeter equivalent lens. Because even Nikon charges $279 for their 35 f1.8. So, yes, it has the Sony Steady Shot in it because all these lenses do, but I don't know that suddenly makes it worth an extra $200.
It's Sony pricing all over again.
Yeah. The power zoom's only going to be $350 though, which is odd because it really seems like that would be the more expensive to manufacture lens.
Especially since it's a new thing for Sony to do.
And it has like a lot more moving parts in it.
Yeah.
And the 10 to 18 will be available for approximately $850, which is par for the course for a wide-angle lens. So a couple of new E-mount lenses. I'm still disappointed with Sony's lens roadmap. There's really nothing that stands out, and the things that do are way too expensive, like the 24-1.4 Zeiss lens and stuff like that. And not to leave the cinematographers in the dust, they've also announced 2 new video cameras. We've talked about and reviewed the VG10.
Yep.
And then we never tried the VG20, but it did exist. And now the VG30 and the VG900 exist. Now the VG30 is an update to the NEX cameras. It has the same NEX lens mount and APS-C size sensor, but it is now shooting 1080-60p, which is great, as well as 24 frames per second. And it's got the 16 megapixel sensor in it that's in the other NEXs. But the interesting one here is the VG900.
Yeah, so that's a full frame NEX sensor.
Yeah, so this is the weird part.
Yes,
so
because I said full frame NEX.
Yeah, so it's a full frame camera in terms you get the 24 megapixel sensor we've been talking about, but it's NEX mount, which none of the NEX mounts will cover a full frame. Which means that if you want to use the camera with full-frame lenses, you have to buy the $400 A-mount adapter that will then give you autofocus with them.
Yes.
Now, initially, this seemed to not make any sense whatsoever. But the thing is that a lot of people that are doing cinematography with these cameras are using cheaper mounts that allow you to mount a whole slew of different lenses. We've talked about it. We do it all the time with our Micro Four Thirds cameras. And the thing is, if they had just made it with the A mount, the distance from the sensor to where the lens would mount would be much longer than it is with an NEX, which means that you could use A-series lenses, but not a whole lot else, because the registration distance from the sensor to that mount is too big. But by making it an NEX mount first, that means that the mount itself is only a couple millimeters off the sensor, so all those adapters that already exist for the VG10, the VG20, the NEX cameras that are already out will all work with this camera. And if you have lenses that normally cover a full-frame lens, you're going to get full-frame coverage. But then if you also want to use the alpha lenses, you can then spend more money to do it. So it's kind of broken, but in a roundabout way, it actually makes sense. It's going to be shipping for $3,300, which I think is an impressive number.
Now that's with the A-mount adapter as well.
With the A-mount adapter for $3,300.
Which
makes it a $3,000 camera.
Yeah.
Realistically. And that's impressive because it's a full frame camera. Because we have, the Blackmagic camera is a crazy camera and it's $3,000, but it's a really small sensor.
Yeah.
Or not super small, but smaller than our GH2. This guy's full frame for $3,000. And although it's not going to have all the bells and whistles of something like a, Canon C100 or something like that, it still has a larger sensor than pretty much everything under $15,000. It has a bigger sensor than the FS700 and the FS100 that Sony made. So if depth of field and full frame look is what's most important to you, this is a really well-priced camera. They've also made an 18-200 with power zoom for these cameras, and you can get the VG30 with the zoom for $2,700 or $1,800 for just the body, which I think, again, is pretty well-priced for a video camera style camera.
But in around $3,000 for the VG900 kind of makes it a sensible choice as opposed to...
I think it's going to do well.
Yeah.
And I think this is finally going to be the sort of uplifting product that the VG series cameras needed, because no one's really give a shit about the VG cameras up until now, and I think the VG900 is going to change that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not to be outdone, Nikon also decided to announce some full-frame news and have finally announced, after the years and years and years of speculation, a full-frame D600 camera. Now, it's the 600 because it is not the same as the D800. It is the little brother to it.
Yes.
So the important thing about this is it's got a 24-megapixel sensor. Now, that might seem familiar, and that's because it is the same sensor that Sony is using in all of their cameras, because, surprise, Sony sells sensors to pretty much everyone. Olympus is using a Sony sensor in their new OMD. Nikon will be using it in this, and Nikon typically uses Sony sensors in history. The weird thing about this, though, is that Nikon always tends to get better low-light capabilities than Sony does with Sony's own hardware. So, Sony, you're doing something weird on the processing side. Stop it. You're bad at it. The D600, however, will be a 24-megapixel camera in a body that's about the same size as the D7000. So this is kind of, again, targeted at the entry-level professional or the enthusiast, because it won't have the build quality or the shutter life and that kind of stuff of the D800.
Yes.
It will be doing 1080 30p and 24 frames per second, but the interesting part here is that they're supposedly claiming uncompressed HDMI out, which is definitely something that's worth it, because you can get this camera for $2,100, which is pretty cheap for a brand new full-frame camera. Now, Nikon's been touting that it's the cheapest full-frame camera out, but that's kind of relative, because you can buy a 5D Mark II brand new in a box for less than that right now. It's just not current generation.
Yes.
So I don't really know what they base that number on, because also Sony's earlier full-frame cameras were less expensive than that. So it's kind of a stupid claim. But you're only 39-point autofocus instead of 51-point autofocus. You don't get the micro AF adjustment features that the Pro cameras have. So there are a handful of things missing, which I think they're trying to do to justify the price point. But the funny part is that a lot of it's software related, which has no effect on the price. So
they're doing that purposeful change in features so they can make a different camera.
Yeah. I think it's going to do well because Nikon just sells everything all the time. If you have a D700, I still think this isn't worth upgrading unless you need to do video. And if you have a D800, hopefully you really needed 36 megapixels or a bigger body.
Yeah. I think it's a good price point.
Yeah. I think
you get a lot for that 2100.
Yeah, for sure. And lastly, Nikon also decided to release a 50mm equivalent f1.8 lens for their 1 series.
Yes, for the 1 series that desperately needs some lens expansion.
Yeah, now it's important to note that we just talked about a 50mm equivalent lens from Sony for $450.
Yes.
That was also an f1.8. Nikon's is $189.
Small difference.
Yeah, I get that the 1 series lenses are less expensive to make because they're smaller, but that's a lot. That's like half the price.
Are they
Plus-
are they twice as small or half as small? Probably.
I don't know, maybe.
Probably not. Maybe.
Anyway, it's good to see that Nikon is continuing the trend of adding stuff to their 1 series system, even though no one really cares.
Yeah. Join us next week because Photokina will be happening.
Yes.
So we will have most likely a slew more.
There's,
announcements.
from what I hear, Panasonic and Olympus are doing all their announcements on Monday.
So yes, lots to talk about next week.
I'm sure there'll be GH3 news because that's what everyone on the internet cares about. Because will it be the next great consumer video camera?
And we've been waiting for that for quite a while.
For sure.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of Behind the Lens for this week. And that brings us to the end of the show this week. As per usual, if you'd like to get a hold of us, you can reach us on the Twitters at @almost_Friday.
Or if 140 characters just won't do, you can send us an email at contact@almostfridayshow.com.
You can find us at facebook.com/The Almost Friday Show. If you subscribe to our feed, you will get our new videos in your feed when they happen, so you never lose touch with us.
Yeah, you can go on the page and post us about how, oh my god, you need to reserve your iPhone 5 because you need one right now.
Or you totally have a justifying reason why you need to spend $2,800 on an RX-1.
Yeah. And if you do, and you like it, tell us why.
Because we would like to know.
Yeah, we need to...
We can't figure it out.
No, absolutely.
Carl's ice fetish? I'm going to go with that.
I could do it.
Yeah.
Mm.